to be honest, you are completely throwing me off balance.
No, that's not it. That's not the purpose.
When this wave that we are, helped by you, passes to the other side, so in some way consciousness remains, and you said that there's no judgment, there's more of an awareness of what has been done for evolutionary purposes. So those who remain on this side, because these are simple questions, you shouldn't even feel guilty, maybe thinking you treated them badly or that you weren't close enough to them, because on the other side, those who have passed away don't judge us, not even if we had killed them, us.
Not even a little, not even a little bit. There's this other thing that there's something that saddens me. But it's like being sad because the sky is blue. Because that's just how it is. We don't understand why, we don't know why. But the evidence, the facts tell us that this is how things are. But it's a reality, it's a truly cruel state of things. And it tells us that in reality, disembodied personalities on the other side have a perspective on our world that we, who have remained here, is much better than the one we from here have of the other side. So the grieving person who has lost a loved one and who has a tremendous need to have an experience, a contact, many do have it, but it's a contact, small, momentary, unpredictable, that happens in many different ways, and so on, for a very significant moment for the people who experience it, but pay attention. While on the other side, it seems that they know everything. And so the family, there's a beautiful video by the BBC, among other things, BBC4, in which they follow a spectacular medium here in Glasgow, truly one of the superstars, Gordon Smith, extraordinary. They take him along and they travel together. He is originally from the city of Glasgow in Scotland, and they travel together all the way down to the southern regions of the United Kingdom, to a location situated near London. And once they are there with the rest of the production crew, they have him participate in a session. They film a very emotional session with a couple of parents who have unfortunately lost a child. And Gordon, who is also a really funny guy, like everyone from Glasgow, someone who cracks jokes, truly a lively spirit, he says things that are just spot on. It's really a barrage of extremely precise information. No, it's not like, I see your son's name starts with the letter M. No, there are names, dates, things, and so on. And there's a moment that explains what I meant about the one-way nature of it. In a certain sense, it's like they over there can see us here, but we here can't see over there, at least not us normal people. And at a certain point, he says, your son, whose name I can't recall right now, but he had actually been told the name and everything, was with you this morning when you placed that yellow flower just to the left of the grave. And you can see the camera angle shift like this because the cameraman had been with these two parents during their visit to the cemetery and had seen them place the yellow flower there. And you can tell that the guy is thinking, what the heck is going on here? Did you get that? Here, you know what I mean? So the son, existing now in spirit, clearly sees everything that happens on this side of the veil. And he tells them quite firmly, you really need to stop wearing my watch right now, because it doesn't change anything, it only hurts you, so put it down, and so on. How do they know these things? We don't know. It's something extraordinary.
A series of questions come to mind, but I need to get back down to earth a bit. So what can we do when we are near someone who is about to pass away? I mean, what should our attitude be? To help them to avoid suffering for both those who stay and those who leave.
Well then, the suffering of those who remain is part of life, dear Enzo. I don't think there's a recipe, a pill, a way to say, the departure of a loved one is like a picnic. It's not. It's tough, it's difficult, and it's one of the things we have to go through as human beings. There's nothing we can do about it. It's part of our being human. I believe that our duty, but not duty in terms of obligation, commandment, or anything like that, our moral duty, because it's a beautiful thing to do, is to make our loved ones' passing as easy as possible. So if we can manage it, I truly believe it's incredibly important not to show too much of our internal fear, or too much of our deep-seated pain. And that is exactly what we strive to do every single day. Not, how can I say, tormenting ourselves, trying to hold everything in, but simply reminding ourselves that this is a transition. Our loved one doesn't disappear into a black hole. They simply move somewhere else where unfortunately we won't be able to see them anymore, but they don't cease to exist. If we remember this while we're at the bedside of someone who is dying, it's easier not to feel that heaviness, that pain, that terror about the loss and so on. Why do I say this? Because many tell us that it is precisely the pain and fear of the loved ones around that, in a certain way, hold back the person who is here. How many times have we heard someone say, look, at a certain point I told my mother, dear, I love you, you can go now, and then the mother passes away. If we do this a little earlier and avoid waiting when we've said everything we wanted to say to each other, let's let them go peacefully. Let's spare them unnecessary suffering and experience this moment in such an atmosphere, a little lighter, a little more.
It is so serene.
And by the way, let us take a brief moment to quickly close a small parenthesis. All of this applies specifically if we are not among the lucky ones who have experienced a shared death. Experience, that is, a shared experience of death, because there are many, not very many, but many situations in which that vision of the afterlife is not present. Only the dying person has it, the healthcare staff who are there at that moment have it, and the family members. This is a transformative experience for anyone, truly incredible, but unfortunately it's not something we can have on command. It's not something, there's no technique where you do this and you'll have that experience. We're once again in the realm of the great unknown, where everything is incomprehensible, unpredictable, unrepeatable. Things happen. We don't know why. They happen because all the evidence tells us they do, but we can't put them in a box, you know? There's no neat method like do meditation and that thing will happen. Unfortunately, no.
In this, through the long evolutionary process of reincarnation and the continuous succession of many reincarnations, it is as if we gradually expand our inner consciousness from one reincarnation to the next one.
Absolutely.
So at a certain point, I die, I go through my process of settling, of processing the experiences that happened here. I develop a consciousness. And then I reincarnate in a new vehicle, so to speak, the one most suited to the new consciousness. So it's possible that I reincarnate as a human being, more evolved, or even as something beyond a human being. Have you gone in that direction? No?
I don't know, and here I have to admit I'm a bit unprepared, because incarnation as something beyond a human being, if one reincarnates, it's as a human being. Then many people say, as we all know, because it's logical to think so, that there is life on countless planets in the universe. And I can't even begin to imagine what incarnations elsewhere might be like. But what I wanted to point out is that human lives, human incarnations are extremely diverse, and we know this very well. It's something each of us has experienced. At university, after the conference, I went from Bologna to Northampton. I spent 4 days there. And I met a new PhD student from my same cohort. Northampton is a really tough place in the United Kingdom. Everything is in practically desperate conditions. It's becoming a developing and poor country, devastated, a mess, the whole United Kingdom. In particular, these cities in the north of England are in really bad shape. So this man here was telling me that he is the only survivor among his siblings. 2 died from drugs, and 1 was killed in a gang-related incident. And he himself is a former drug addict who managed to turn his life around, got a degree, earned a master's, and now he's been teaching at the University of Northampton for 7 years and is currently pursuing a PhD. That person, Enzi, is an old soul. I'm trying to use a specific example to delve into and discuss something that we all encounter in our daily lives. It's not really about one's specific socioeconomic background or status, nor is it even about a person's cultural level. But all of us, if we take a moment to do a bit of careful analysis, and if we look closely at some of the people we know, we eventually realize that certain individuals possess qualities that are, when I say rough, I don't mean it as an insult, but I mean they're thick, they're earthy, they're low, they're a bit, in quotes, animalistic, and others, like this luminous person I met, regardless of their living conditions, clearly express a certain nature, an experience, an age. They are wiser, more ethereal people who are interested in knowledge rather than material goods, often engaged in doing something for others rather than focusing on themselves. Psychopaths, I don't want to get political here, but psychopaths like Boris Johnson in England and Donald Trump in the United States are extremely wealthy. They achieve enormous material success, but they have no interest in those around them, even in their immediate circle, let alone for the nation or the world. They only care about themselves. This, in my view, and here I'm not speaking as a scientist, but as a person, it's just my own opinion, entirely my own. I don't claim there's evidence or anything like that, but it's fairly convincing. To think that there are younger souls and older souls, and in some way we feel this, that's it.
Look, maybe there's still one more little question, because I don't want to monopolize your time. The little question I'd like to ask you is this. One, why does the soul, when it reincarnates, then forget everything that came before, and what correlation is there with karma, if you believe in karma?
So question number one, I don't know. It's one of the great mysteries. I don't know. But
maybe I heard someone say, because to interview you, I tried to do a bit of research so I wouldn't make a bad impression. Who says that? If we were to incarnate with the awareness of already having been evolved beings, even in our history of incarnation, and we came here already conscious of being a person who has done certain things in life, previously we would behave in a certain way. So maybe we meet the lion or the serpent or the criminal, understanding that he too is an incarnated soul. Maybe we wouldn't really play our own game.
it's entirely possible, but I mean, it's a nice logic. It's an explanation, but in my opinion, it's just an idea, a theory. Personally, that doesn't mean it isn't true. But personally, I haven't felt it. And the explanations or attempts at explanations I've heard all seem to sound a bit like theories to me. The recurring theme is that, Mario, since our ultimate goal is still personal evolution, the pursuit of deeper knowledge, becoming wiser, more ethereal, and reaching a higher state, there are certain essential lessons. There are lessons that can only be learned in the material world, and there are other lessons that can only be learned in the, let's call it, spiritual world, in the non-material world, so to speak, beyond. And I'll stop here because but I wanted to say that it's not true. I mean, we don't consciously remember it, but there's a lot of literature on which, to be honest, I have some doubts. While in other areas of evidence, research, and facts have convinced me, on this issue of regressive hypnosis, I have some question marks. There are some very interesting studies that tell us it really seems like these are actual memories, not only of past lives, but also of the period between lives, which recount the same things as my three sources. But we also know that the mechanism of cryptomnesia, of false memories, in short, is an area. For me, it's a bit less certain, though. To put it quite simply, regression hypnotists, some of whom possess exceptionally impressive professional credentials, seem to be able to induce a deeply relaxed state of mind, where we can vividly recall exactly what occurred in the past, before. Somewhere these memories seem to exist. They seem to be stored. Karma is again, you're asking me questions that should be asked of a spiritual master, which I am not. If you ask me, I would be much happier if you ask me about laboratory experiences, those kinds of things, because that's my field. You know, you come in here, you get it. But about karma, it seems to me that it's very misunderstood. I always joke that I must have been really good in a previous life because I ended up in this apartment by the sea, which is my idea of where a Hollywood star lives. You know what I mean? This connection between how good or virtuous you are in one life and how comfortable your next life will be, or vice versa, and so on, that you might reincarnate as a rock, basically. So it doesn't really seem to work that way at all. The movement is always upward, a spiral that moves upward, and we shouldn't let ourselves be misled by living conditions, material possessions, an easy life or a difficult life. Maybe there are old wise souls who apparently need to go through certain difficult experiences, and maybe they incarnate as a person with a disability, differently abled, for example. So let's not make a direct connection with karma. It's not, if I'm good, I'll be fine. That's not how it works.
Thank you, Piero. So as a first step, we recommend this to everyone. Your book, A Step into the Light, which I will buy right away myself so I can improve my knowledge on this topic.
There's that, and since we're talking about it, this is the guide. It's the guide to the only planet. But if someone, since I've talked so much about this evidence, but I haven't described it, I haven't explained it, if someone wants a very friendly introduction to this evidence, there's 21 Days in the Afterlife. 21 Days is the first book.
I'll put the link to these two in the description. Excellent.
That one is a dialogue, 21 days. It's 21 days of dialogue between me and a skeptic, or rather, actually. Then in the end, you realize it's between me today. Well, actually, the book is from 2008, but anyway, between me, when I wrote it, and my earlier self. Who says, what the heck are you talking about? You've gone crazy. Come on, sorry. You say, no, wait. I'm not here to convince anyone. Just follow me, ask me questions. I'll present you with some pieces of information. You have to criticize them and so on. Let's see if I have the answers, and so on. And many people have told me that it's a book you start and finish in one evening, in one night, because it kind of draws you in. It's written in a very approachable way. And it presents many, if not all, at least the areas of evidence we have that seem to strongly suggest the existence of life after life.
I really want to say thank you so much. And I wish you all the very best of luck and success with your future research endeavors and all of your academic studies. And well, why not indeed? I look forward to seeing you next time.
It was a great pleasure, Enzo. I'm the one who should thank you, and I thank all the audience listening to us for this hour we've spent together. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best, and enjoy your sea and your villa.
Thank you.
Bye.